One. And hello again today. Unusually for me, I have a second stream going live today, and I mentioned in the previous one, I'm here talking to Jake Price. You can see his LinkedIn profile here in the bottom of the lower third display. And what we're talking about today, I saw a post of Jake's on LinkedIn where he basically said, hey, here's how cybersecurity and marketing are exactly the same. And I'm like, I have literally never heard that sentence uttered before, and I've been doing marketing for 22 years. This is a lunatic who I need to get on my channel.
Well, you're definitely right about the lunatic part.
All right. Well, that said, Jake, tell me and my listeners a bit about yourself, please.
Yeah, for sure. My name is Jake Price. I am a solutions engineer and the marketing lead at Haiku Inc. What Haiku is basically a video game company. So we're a video game development studio that essentially identified a gap in cybersecurity and learning, and basically getting people into cybersecurity. And really, we found that it was a very challenging and daunting thing to do. So we positioned our development team towards creating actually a video game that teaches people how to get into cybersecurity. So it teaches you the hands-on skills that you need to get a job in cyber. It's similar to like a codeacademy.com, but instead of just wrapping some kind of like gamified, elements of a product, it is really a actual video game made by Unity developers.
Oh,
Um,
wow.
that is, so that's a little bit about me. That's what I do. Very passionate about solving the skills gap in cybersecurity, and sort of along this journey, I've really gained some I don't know, empathy and love for those that are looking to learn and looking to get into cybersecurity. So Haiku is your place for that if that's something that interests you.
Awesome. I did throw up in the lower third bit.ly/Jake and Trev. Will
Awesome.
take you to a page about haiku. So if you're interested, you can go ahead and check it out. I have some questions for you. This is a podcast where I ask questions. So I think the first question is, right, so one, it never occurred to me cybersecurity and video games even had an overlap, much less cybersecurity and marketing. What is it that you found, right? And I will throw
Yeah,
in the show notes here on YouTube the link to the article you wrote. I found it so interesting. What have you
sure.
found in common between cybersecurity and marketing?
Yeah, I think, I mean, not to parrot off the post too much, but kind of the original idea behind it was like bring the hacker mindset into marketing, right? And hackers, engineers, cybersecurity experts, cybersecurity enthusiasts, we all kind of fall into the same bucket of tinkerers, right? We like to play with things and tinker and make sure, hey, what happens if I pull this lever? What's going to happen over here? That's kind of the mindset that interested me in cybersecurity so much. And then working for a startup, you wear many hats, right? And they said, "Hey, would you be interested in using some of your past experience in marketing?" Um, in high school, I started my own social media marketing agency, and it wasn't super successful or anything, but we had a couple of local businesses, pizza joint, a travel experience place that we did their marketing. A couple $100 a month in a high school kid's pocket was huge, right? For just making some Instagram posts. So I knew my way around marketing, but I was really trying to get into cyber. And so they were like, "Well, can you do both?" And they asked me that, and so here I am. So I don't know if that really answered your question, but that's kind of how I got to the place of cybersecurity and marketing being intersectional and kind of in my daily life doing both.
Gotcha. Yeah, I definitely agree. Right, my course I am building is called Grow to Market because the idea is a combination of both growth and go to market. And yes, it is all around. Don't take the route everybody else takes.
Mm-hmm.
Find the odd corners and exploits you can use because that
Absolutely.
is where no one else is fighting you there. And when you're
Yeah,
over in places no one else is fighting in marketing, you'll win because it is a vulnerability that's unpatched. And in
absolutely.
cybersecurity, those are bad things, but in marketing, they can be
Yes.
good ones.
Yes, and I think the same personality trait that allows you to identify those vulnerabilities, it's kind of the same thing in marketing and in cybersecurity because if you're familiar with like the blue ocean concept,
Hmm.
right? The concept of someone's never been in this ocean before, someone's never swam at this beach, a company's never developed a product like this, right? Um, it's kind of that same concept packaged down into little smaller boxes, and that's what I'm seeing and kind of um, narrowing in on from both the marketing side and the cybersecurity side. So I'm looking for a place where nobody else has looked before, and a place where nobody else has swam before, and I'm looking for that in the marketing realm, and I'm also looking for that on your back end server. And so uh, I guess that's kind of how I idealize it in my head.
Gotcha. So definitely some of the most impressive marketers I have learned from over the years. The former CMO of HubSpot, uh,
Oh wow.
yeah, who was a an engineer, right? And
Hmm.
then DHH from Basecamp, an engineer. Like this engineering mindset, it actually seems to give you a willingness to, what's the polite way to say, I guess, F around and find out,
Yeah.
right?
Yes. Yeah. No, you're exactly right. And yeah, I would take this conversation in an interesting direction. But it's something that it's near and dear to my heart, and it's something that our company interfaces with a lot. But there's a lot of statistics online that say a majority of hands-on cybersecurity professionals have autism. They're on the
Interesting.
autistic spectrum. Yeah. And the number in some studies is cited up to about 80%, which is a massive, massive number, right?
That's wild.
And the way that I saw that number, and we do a lot of work with NFAR, which is the National Foundation for Autism Research, and we have a full pilot program going with them, giving some of their affiliates our video game and working with their kids, and they're loving it, right? But one thing about that is, f around and find out. We'll bring that back. It's really the ability to sit at your laptop for an extended period of time and search for different avenues within code bases, search for different avenues within marketing. But it's really the hours, is what I think. Because if you spend enough time doing something, that's when you get really good at it, right? The old 10,000 hours and become an expert. That whole
Exactly.
phrase is very much true, and I think that engineers are a little more. Um, I guess they're more willing to sit at their laptop or at their desk and work on a problem for 18 hours a day sometimes, or whatever it may be. Um, whereas that's just the personality type. So
Right.
a lot in that, but
Right. Awesome. So, okay. So I'm going to real quick run through, because some people may not click through the article. I'm going to run through these 5 items you identified as the similarities, and I want you to explain a little bit about them, right? Okay. The
okay,
first one is encrypt your strategy. So, talk to
yeah,
me about, like, I don't know how you encrypt something that is a strategy. This is clearly, of course, shorthand for something else. Talk to me a bit about what you
yeah.
mean by that.
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, it doesn't really mean go and create a different. It doesn't
Create a
really mean
salt and a
encrypt your
hash, and
strategy.
like, there you go.
Yeah, yeah, it doesn't really mean that. It's just kind of like the old adage of "Don't let them know your next move."
Right.
It's kind of how I saw that, where it's like, encrypt your strategy, meaning make it yours, make it your language, make it your own. Don't make it something that's easily repeatable, or maybe not easily repeatable, but easily um, predictable. And I think that people get stuck in the mindset of marketing is very uh, consistent, and you do have to be consistent to have success. But I think that when you become so consistent that you're boring, your marketing stops working. So that's what I mean by encrypt your strategy.
Excellent. Okay. What I had gotten out of that, I use a password manager. Everybody should use a password manager. If you're listening to
Yes.
this stream and you're not using a password manager, shame on you. Um, the
Yeah.
password manager, it takes this data of yours, it encrypts it, but it also means it is It is only for you. It is individual to you. Every encryption key, I mean, of course, you've got public and private, whatever, but like every encryption key, the private one at least, is yours. No one else should have it.
Yes.
And that keeping it private and owned, because I teach dozens of startups a week. I've taught thousands over the years. The general strategy of do this in this order and your marketing will succeed. But every startup has their own message, their own audience, their own problem. And because that should be unique to you, that is the part you encrypt, right? Not like I talk about, hey, here's how
Absolutely.
you build each stage of your funnel, right? And I do content every day about how to build each part of your funnel. That is not, that's your public key, right? The
Yeah.
private key is
Yeah.
the message of
Well,
this is how I talk to
that's
people.
great. That's great, Trevor. You know, that you nailed it, right? That's your public key and this is your private key. And that makes so much sense in my head. I'm pretty stoked that you just nailed those two together because now I got some thinking to do.
Awesome. Well, thank you. All right. The second one is about social engineering. One, I think for people who don't know, what is your definition of social engineering in the cybersecurity space?
Yeah, social engineering. Oh man, maybe you could even help me. I think I'm too in the weeds to really like describe that. Uh,
Okay, so
I would
like if I
say,
were to
yeah,
define it, right, there's exploits in code, right?
yes,
Where there's like, hey, I can get a permissions elevation exploit, and now I have access to your root, and sudo go make me a sandwich. Okay, the
yes,
social engineering side comes one of two ways. One is getting people to like kind of spear phishing link,
yes,
and then the other way is to be like, hey, I will cut off your thumbs if you don't give me the password. Right? Well,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
social. But it's like I'm exploiting the human element
yeah,
instead of the code element. So that's the
yeah.
social engineering. Like that's my not a good dictionary definition, but it
No, that's
encapsulates
a
the
good
space.
definition. I appreciate you leading that off because what I would have said is like social engineering is something you need to go really deep on to understand. Because it's very psychological, and you can, I mean, you can go into color psychology and learn about the different colors of different CTA buttons and why you should make it this one and why you should make it that one and what are these colors going to make this person feel, and there's a lot to social engineering, and it's a whole study itself that I'm not super well versed on, but I know a lot of people that are, and they help me develop my marketing campaigns. So,
Gotcha.
uh, yeah, I would say, yeah, yeah. I think we summed it up on that one.
Okay, cool. So I think my takeaway there on the social engineering was get the common hooks that will make people buy, right? Urgency,
Yeah,
scarcity, FOMO, pain. Like these are the things where if you enumerate them clearly, you will get action in a way that you want. Like recently, even for me, like my agency, I've been talking on streams now for months. My growth has
yeah,
been way slower than projected because it's a recession. I know we're not
yeah,
saying the dirty word, but it's a recession. And
yeah,
how do you get people to act? And
yeah.
so I tried something new yesterday afternoon,
What'd you
closed
try?
two clients since then
Really?
with it by social engineering with FOMO and urgency and
Yeah,
limited offer, right? So that one, two, three on, I mean,
yeah,
I'm an agency, right? It's hard to tell people, well, buy this week and not next week because of X or Y or Z.
yeah.
I think this campaign successfully did for any startup. Ah,
Oh, I think I lost you for a second.
Jake, are you here? Am I not
I'm
here?
here. I'm here.
Is somebody here?
Are you here?
Man,
Oh man. Hey,
not here. Oh my goodness, Jake, my internet.
hey. That's all right. I'll wait here for you. Are you back?
One stream has gone insane. Let me ping you here.
No worries. I don't know if you can hear me, but I can still hear you.
Okay, this is awkward. In a live stream, this is not what you want to have happen. For the released video, I'll clean this up. But hey, there you go.
Hey, can you hear me?
Oh, this is phenomenal. So I can't see you, but you can hear me. Okay. Uh, Technical difficulties. I'm going to reload the page and come right back. Hmm.
Hey there.
There we go. Jake, my apologies. My internet apparently just quit for the afternoon.
That's all right. Don't worry about it. It happens.
Uh-huh. I will edit it out in the final video that I release, but for people on the live stream, that's the joy of live theater. So,
There it is.
uh,
Yeah, right. Reality.
yeah, that's reality. So, all right. Oh, yeah, that is my takeaway from that is if you know the right hooks to instill urgency in your offer,
Yeah,
you'll be more successful. The next one you mentioned was
yeah,
reverse engineering. Talk to me about
yeah,
something you've done that's reverse engineering on the marketing side.
yeah. Reverse engineering. I mean, oh man, we've done so many bad marketing campaigns before. It's funny, right?
Right.
And every company does.
Mhm.
And that caused me to do some research, right? Like, hey, how do we do a good marketing campaign? Um, and I started to study a bunch of, Dropbox, a bunch of companies, right? Dropbox, Disney, Google, Apple. How did these companies do their marketing campaigns? And almost every single one of them had one commonality that I noticed, and that was just leading with value, right? Leading with value to your customers and to your end user is really the most important thing. So now in our marketing campaigns, instead of talking about all these product benefits and product features, which is what I believe so many companies do, is they're
Mhm.
so focused on product development and our engineering team is making this great thing, but nobody really gives an F about your admin panel. They
That is
care
true.
that you're going to see the data or you're going to get this unique benefit,
Yeah.
right? So I feel like that has kind of turned our marketing around, just by doing research on different you know companies that have been successful in the past. And I'll share it on my LinkedIn after this, but there's a really great video where Steve Jobs did a marketing campaign, and I forget the end message, but it basically had a bunch of legends.
That's the Think
And
Different
do you
campaign.
remember the video?
Yeah.
Think different.
I'm old
Absolutely.
enough. I saw it when it was new. I know you're a wee young stripling lad, but I'm a salty, grumpy old man, so I saw it live
So
on TV back in the '90s.
one of our board members was actually on. He's he has an insurance company, but he sold insurance to the marketing agency that did that ad for Steve Jobs. So
Okay.
he remembers very very intimately. I'm not sure if he was actually there in Silicon Valley or wherever
Gotcha.
they were, but he shared that with me and said we should do something like this. And I said, there you go. That is how you reverse engineer your marketing. Is you take someone else, you take what someone else did that's great, and you dissect it and you figure out how to do it yourself.
Excellent. Yeah. So there are three tools I will mention specifically I like. One, I'll give a shout out to my buddy Corey Haynes with swipefiles.co. Swipefiles.co is a huge repository of just everything Corey has seen and that his community has seen that he thinks is good that you should swipe into your own file and use it as a basis for a campaign.
Oh,
That's
cool.
one. The other is Meta's ad library, which lets you see all the ads anybody's running right now. And
Wow.
any of your competition, go check out their LinkedIn lets you just view. If you go to LinkedIn, view a page's post and then go to promoted post only, you can see all of the ads run by any given page. On Meta, you can go check the ad library out and see everybody who's running stuff in whatever field. And on TikTok, they have an ad library too. So you can go
Yeah.
look at your competition and see what they're doing and either take their ideas or position directly against their ideas. And then the third thing I'll mention is something like SEMrush or Ahrefs, which
Yeah.
when you put in a URL, SEMrush will tell you all the keywords they're buying and show you the ads they're running. And
Yeah.
so all
SEMrush
three
is
of
an
these,
excellent tool.
SEMrush is a great tool. I've been paying for SEMrush for like 7 years.
Oh
Like
man,
I
you're a
think I'm
premium
paying,
customer.
yeah, I'm paying like $22 a month because that was the price way back when, and I'm
What?
grandfathered on that plan, so I can never quit now.
Okay, well they should give you an affiliate link, and I should sign up through that
Well,
because I
no,
want to
because
pay 22 bucks.
anybody who signs up new now pays like whatever it is, $89 a month. But because I
Yeah.
was on their plan back in, I don't know, 1844 when I started doing marketing, I'm only paying that reduced amount. So,
Yeah.
yeah, like those three tools combined give you tremendous ability to spy on your competition. I guess I'll add a
Yeah.
fourth thing, which is Google Alerts or any of like Siften, Syften. Either of those will also do a great job of intelligence on your competitors. So you can see, oh, they've launched a new thing. Oh, this is their new ad. When I'm doing work with a client, I will, at the setup, research all their competition and see what they're doing. I don't tend to keep tabs on that over time. Back when I was CMO at companies, I would
Yeah.
every month I would check what all the competition is doing to understand. Okay, they're doing this. Why? And I'm also always impressed at how bad many marketers are just running campaigns and like
Yeah.
ads that point to bad landing pages or broken landing pages or just like whatever. It makes me
We do
feel
it.
good to
We
realize
do
I
it all
haven't
the
done.
time.
Yeah,
Well,
everyone does.
lucky for you. It's not as easy as you think, man. I mean, all we have all the tools that we need to do it,
We do.
but it
But you've
oftentimes
got
fails.
99 problems every day. It's easy to make a mistake. Like I just realized,
Absolutely true.
having said, hey, I don't make mistakes. I've got a unit of creative running for a client that I was supposed to change and haven't done yet. So if you're listening, Elaine, I'll do it tonight. Sorry. Um,
Please forgive him. He's hanging out on the
there you go.
podcast
Please
tonight.
forgive me. I've done 2 streams today. So all right, and then your next one was continuous penetration testing. Now,
Mhm.
what's pen testing in the cybersecurity space?
Yeah, so pen testing, I think an example it would define it best, but basically a pen tester would, maybe a company would pay a group of pen testers or a penetration tester to come in and test their network, right? And test their security and their vulnerability, right? To make sure that their network or their enterprise is, securely set up. So they would come in and run a bunch of different, basically just try to poke holes in the balloon and see what pops. So that's in cybersecurity. That's what it is. Yeah.
And in marketing, what do you mean?
In marketing, I mean, you need to test your strategy, and you need
Okay.
to try to poke. You need to be your own worst critic, right? So I have a, I think I'm not sure if this is a new idea or if I heard this somewhere else, but we have a lot of babies, right? Idea babies, and we tend to think that our babies are the best babies, right? But
Right.
in reality, a lot of times they're not. And so the old phrase of it's very gruesome and horrible to say, but killing your babies is
Murder your babies.
is
Yeah.
uh is the phrase, and I think that fits kind of into this penetration testing here is like penetration testing for marketing is basically going and poking holes in your own ideas and seeing where your own ideas and where your own strategy and where um, your own campaigns are failing or what they're missing. And you should be open to that because you will do better campaigns in the future or be able to improve upon your existing campaigns if you're very pragmatic about your pen testing and marketing.
I like that. One of the ways I like to, relatively recent ways that I like to find the gaps in my strategy is if you do use ChatGPT
Oh
and you
yeah.
ask ChatGPT, like, make a steel man argument for why this campaign is going to fail. It will
Oh,
give you
interesting.
all, and then you define the campaign. Don't just like name it, right? Like, here's what I'm doing, right? And then make a steel man argument for why this won't work. It is, steel man is like internet argument lingo for the opposite of a straw man. Straw man being like a preposterous, poorly made argument. Steel man is what is the best argument you can make. So if
Wow,
you ask ChatGPT this, it'll give you all the most plausible reasons it can come up with for why your campaign will fail. And then you can
very
say,
interesting.
okay, I have considered all of these. I'm okay. Or you go, oh no, I hadn't thought of that. And then you have
Yes.
something where you have to make a change and better better set up your borders so that you can't have a hole poked by
Absolutely.
pen testing.
And that kind of leads into the fifth point that I had there in
Yeah.
that post of like always adapt, right? Like
Hmm.
make sure once you're done with pen testing your strategy for vulnerabilities that you adapt your strategy around those holes that you found. And always be ready for someone to poke a big hole in the boat and bail out water because you need a backup plan if things are to fail. So I feel like yeah, that it's been an interesting conversation so far, Trevor. And I want to ask you some questions about
Please.
kind of where you started and how, because I really like what you're doing.
Well,
And
thank
I
you.
downloaded one of your books, and it's been great so far. I think I'm only a couple pages in. Um, you still got me, or is my network breaking up?
I live in
There.
quote reach of someplace with no internet, so my apologies. I heard you the whole time, but my internet kind of went for a minute. So please continue.
That's all right. Where did I drop off?
I heard you the whole time.
Oh, okay, gotcha. So, yeah, I was curious just kind of what your trajectory was and how you got to where you are. And it's a very interesting thing that you do, talking about products and product development and how you market products and product marketing is something that definitely interests me in my career. Meshing that together with cybersecurity has been really fun, but I'm curious how you got to where you are right now.
Sure. Um, so 22 years ago, I was a sophomore in college, and I ended up enrolling in the college's marketing department as an intern because I'd already run my own business building websites. I started building websites in
Okay.
1998, and I
Wow.
was bad at it. So, uh, decided to get out of the actual building part and more into the marketing part of it. Worked as an intern for a while, discovered I do poorly in heavily structured corporate environments like a university. Um, and then went to work actually in video games for a couple of years as a QA tester,
Really?
and then
Wow.
exited that. Yeah, I was working for Electronic Arts, which is one of, of course, the biggest video game publishers in the world.
Sure.
And then moved into, I joined a startup incubator as a copywriter. And 6 weeks after I joined, the entire senior marketing team quit. And so
Wow.
the CEO at the time, Bill Mobley, who was a character and a half, Bill Mobley was like, Trevor, you are now director of marketing and PR. And I was like, I don't know anything. But the
Are
one
you
thing I have
serious?
never suffered from is a lack of confidence. I went, how hard can it be? So I launched a startup a month for 13 months, and I basically murdered the first five
Wow.
because I didn't know
Wow.
what I was doing.
Yeah.
I took pretty good notes. And I learned over time, well, don't do that, and don't do that, and don't do that. And you do enough negative space of anything, and you will begin
Hmm.
to assemble the shape that it actually contains. And
Yeah.
so I began to discover this iterative approach to marketing, which I called scientific marketing. And I was teaching it all through Central and Southern Florida, which is where I'm from. And I thought I invented this really cool thing that was new to the world until I heard the term growth hacking
Yeah.
and realized that's the term everyone's using for this. So I then
Yeah.
started to adapt that into how I built and launched things and ended up launching. I mean, I've launched probably 60, 70 startups. I've taken
Wow.
15 of them to more than 3 million a year. And
Wow. That's
that
amazing.
is not because I know how to answer a particular marketing. Like, I can't build a marketing campaign that always works. I can't even necessarily build any given marketing campaign that works. But I know the right questions to ask and in which order.
Hmm.
And I know how to launch small bets often. And
Yeah.
eventually, if you make enough small bets, you'll find one that wins. And then you double down and
Absolutely.
double down and double down. So I tell people all the time when I'm doing sales calls or mentorship or whatever, I am wrong about 70% of the time. And I know
Yeah.
this because I have the data to prove it. But one, I used to be wrong 90% of the time, so I'm improving. When I'm 240, maybe I'll be right more often than I'm wrong. But the other thing is, when I'm wrong for a couple $100.
Yeah.
And when I'm right, I'm right for a couple 100,000.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
that's the thing you have to do. And over the years of doing this, both as CMO or VP of marketing, whatever you want to call it, and then as a fractional CMO, and now as an agency owner, one of the things that I have learned, which actually fits to that fifth point, stay updated,
Hmm.
stay agile, right? The things that used to work 2 years ago don't work now.
Yep.
Now,
Yeah,
maybe in 30 years they'll come back around, right? But like, there's
I'm sure they
times
will.
times pass, things change, and if you don't keep current, you will discover that the tactics that used to work, the way you used to sell, the way you used to communicate, doesn't work anymore.
Yep.
And keeping an agility in your marketing practice, being data led,
Yeah,
and
I
being
like that.
willing to accept, like, so when you build a funnel, right, super classic methodology, funnel, to think of just top of funnel, bottom funnel, bring people in. If
Hmm.
you're good at it, maybe two people in 1,000 will buy
Yeah,
from I heard about you to I gave you money. If you're good, right, it means
that's
you're
really
wrong
good.
99.98% of the time.
Yes.
And you have to be willing to accept, one, I'm going to be wrong most of the time, and that's fine. And two, the difference between 2 out of 1,000 and 3 out of 1,000 is small when you look at the 1,000, but you did just boost your conversion rate 50%. And
Yeah.
so you have to be honest about the data, because if you lie about these little details at the end, you're like, whatever, I'll fudge it a little bit here, and then I look better to my boss. All this information using to make the decisions to get you that little bump from 2 to 3 are incorrect, and you will end up running aground on the
Yep.
shoals of your own deceit instead of being true, accepting that you have to be humble enough to accept what the market tells you, and then you
Absolutely.
will go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like people get overwhelmed with data, right? And they get overwhelmed with all these various metrics and oh my gosh, I got 5 million impressions on XYZ, and that's great.
Yeah,
But how is that affecting your ROAS and how is that affecting your bottom line, right?
yeah,
And if you really focus on those numbers and you stay true to that, then you find out which marketing campaigns are working really well and which ones are really not working well.
yeah,
And there's always, there's an excuse and a need for driving attention, right? Just for attention's sake, without a conversion. There's absolutely, brand awareness and things like that are very important. But return on ad spend is I think something that people really don't talk about too much because it's a sad metric to talk about oftentimes for most companies and most agencies. So they want to budget a little bit, or they say, hey, attribution isn't working today, or whatever. Um,
yes,
so
that's true.
that's really what I'm trying to focus on with our internal marketing team right now. So,
Hmm.
yeah, I echo everything that you just said and your experiences. Thank you for sharing that because
Thanks.
it's spot on. It's 100%.
So my buddy Charles Tichenor, who I think I'm doing a lecture with him next week, runs a school called the Disruptor School, and he wears a shirt most of the
Oh,
time that spells FUCKROAS, because
okay.
his whole argument is ROAS is nonsense. I think it's more advanced than that, right? Because you've got to,
Yeah,
when you have a really fully developed, completely end to end structured reporting funnel,
yeah,
ROAS is no longer relevant. But like, I talk to people about click through rate, which is a
sure.
terrible metric when you have a developed funnel.
Yes,
But in the earliest days of a business, click through rate on an ad is a good leading indicator of audience, problem, and offer are all aligned.
absolutely.
And likewise,
Yes.
ROAS is tremendous for a startup anywhere from like seed round to Series C.
Yeah,
ROAS is really the best they're going to get. And then you get more
absolutely.
advanced from there, and you say, not what's ROAS, what's overall marketing spend versus overall revenue in.
Yeah, yeah.
But that's so hard to model early days. So I agree. It's a very useful thing to pay attention to, and it can be a very sad number. And
It
one
can
of the
be.
things that
Yeah.
you have to accept is two things. One is ROAS is always going to be wonky, because like I've got a example from work I've done. It wasn't really ad spend; it was marketing spend. I ran an event for a company I was in, we did it. We had a lunch and learn in San Francisco, and we spent I don't know $2,000 or $4,000 for this little lunch and learn. Right in the room, we had Volkswagen, Google, Uber, and then a bunch of other companies I don't remember. But
Wow.
over the course of the next 9 months, Volkswagen, Google, and Uber bought from us.
Hmm.
But in the CRM, it shows up as organic, right? They
Sure.
found us on the website and then filled out the form and contacted sales. And when I
Yeah.
go, you're talking to Tim, who I met at this event, and I have his business card, and 2 weeks later
Yeah.
he got in the funnel. Like it's my lead. That seven
Yes.
hundred and $50,000 deal
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
came from the event, and they're like, "No, you can't prove it. We'll never do another lunch and learn." And I'm like, "You
Are you kidding
idiots!"
me?
Right? And so we
Yes.
never did
Yeah.
another lunch. They're like, "You spent too much money," and I was like, my
You
head
don't
will
see
explode."
it. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
No, it wasn't like reportable ROAS. So the accounting team went, it
Yeah.
wasn't real. But there's an example, right? ROAS won't necessarily always show the truth. You have to investigate further and deeper. But
Yeah.
provided that my team believed me when I said that an actual lead from marketing, right, then ROI is insane. Who spends $2,000 and makes
Absolutely.
$750,000?
Nobody. I mean, if you can do that for me, I'll give you every single dollar in my bank account right now.
If I can do that for me, I will give you every single dollar.
Yeah. I liked how you touched on the different life cycle of the business and what's needed too. So from you said from seed round to C round, right? A different marketing approach is necessary,
Yeah,
and I think that that's lost on a lot of people I mean just in the marketing industry right now because um, it is different. It's a different approach, and it's definitely different in which how you communicate. But I'm curious if you could expand a little more on that and tell me what do you see being the big differences between you know early stage seed company and late stage C company.
sure. So, like early stage angel round, seed round, right? Those people are frequently founder led, product led. There will be almost inevitably a tremendous hole in analytics, which will be if these guys are on their game, or gals, I shouldn't be gendered, if these people are on their game, uh, they will have analytics on their website. Maybe it's
Mhm.
Webflow, Wix, WordPress, Squarespace, I don't care. They've got Google Analytics hooked up there. Never do they have analytics hooked up in product. And so
Yeah.
what you inevitably have is I brought 400 signups this month because I saw the thank you page fire.
Yep.
Which one's converted to customer?
Yeah.
And the product team goes, well, we don't put analytics in product, so we don't know. You can't
Yeah.
see which channel made you the most money because all the
Yep.
information goes. So that
Yeah.
means things like ROAS are impossible to get because
Absolutely.
I
We
can't say
use
this Facebook traffic made me this many hundreds of dollars. I can say this Facebook traffic made me this many signups, and I hope some of them gave us money.
yeah. It's a hard problem to solve, and the company that we use in product is called Heap.
Yeah.
Heap is a great product analytics tool, and you can see full life cycle of your customer. And
Yep.
it's something that I had to internally sell pretty hard because they were like, "What's the point of this?
Yeah.
Does this make any sense?" And it's hard to explain, right? It's not something that's super obvious because you're right. We see all these signups coming through. We see the revenue number. We're like, well, this and this doesn't really make sense, but it's okay. And then what's in between is so important. So one
And
of
it
the
gets
things that
lost.
absolutely, and we found that we were having a 90% drop off rate of people that were coming into our product, and they were going through our tutorial, which was 66 steps long. When we initially, yes, I know, which we had initially when we built the product, right? Because
Of
it
course.
was more us trying to explain what we built to ourselves than anything
Mm-hmm.
else. So we just
Mm-hmm.
took that whole thing out, and then we implemented User Pilot to
There you
have a
go.
little short clip, little video, and a little two-step process where it says, here's what this is, here's the value, go in here and play around. And it's increased, we flipped that metric on its head. Basically 90% dropped off to now 90% retention. So
Wow.
uh,
That's real
it,
good.
it was it was really, really awesome. But it took a long time to internally sell that to the product team.
Yeah.
Um, Yeah. Yeah. So
That is real
totally hear
strong,
you.
and that is at the last company I was CMO at. I'm not wearing their shirt today. I'm wearing my own shirt today. But Unito here in Montreal, we ended up implementing, and you will learn counterfactuals when you test and believe the data. So we had a
Yeah.
little one-click sign-up process. It was basically OAuth, and then you were in product. And our activation rate was something like, I don't remember, but the average would be like in the 70s or 80%, right? Like,
Sure.
so the majority of people dropped off, but 20 to 30% stuck around and actually tried the product. Okay. Um, we wanted to add some steps to help the sales team qualify leads better. And so we added a step to sign up flow, which they obviously don't do.
Yeah.
And we basically added, give me your email, your phone number, and your company name before you do the OAuth. Because what we wanted to know was we expected to take a hit on conversion rate, but if it was worth it, we wanted to know. What
Yeah.
we found instead was our activation rate improved to something like 40% instead of 30% because
Really?
suddenly the onboarding flow looked like what people expect from onboarding.
Wow. That's so interesting. That's
And
really interesting.
every marketer would tell you don't add steps, it makes it worse. And we went, actually, we've been leaving this money lying on the floor for 2 years because our
Yeah.
onboarding flow was so weird. People would click the button and go, what just happened? Alt
Yeah.
F4. I'm done. Right?
Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
led by data, we go, oh, wow, now we know. And so we spent 13 weeks testing a new sign up flow every week and new pricing as well every week. And when you do that, and we were using, I think we had AppQs for onboarding, and then we had Intercom for, I think, our analytics and our messaging. Like that was our tool stack. And what you learn from that, then if you have, as Intercom does, it sits on both the website and in product, you get session information across the
Yeah.
whole journey. And now you're able to
The whole
make
flow.
the right choice and understand, oh, if I get people from here, they're more likely to sign up. Like we were running ads on LinkedIn just consistently for like 9 months before we got our tool chain properly set up because we'd see signups and we didn't see revenue. Revenue was up, but we were doing a
Yeah.
bunch of stuff. And what we found out as we got better data was LinkedIn signups never converted or like hardly ever. But at the same
Yeah.
time we had done LinkedIn, we'd added a partnership with Trello. And so
There
the
you go.
Trello signup were going gangbusters on conversion,
Yeah.
but data was invisible until we had more info. So at a later stage company, right, I joined the company, I was the eighth employee, their first non-developer
Wow.
hire. So we didn't have
Wow.
tool chain. Then later on, right, the company is now 60, 70 people. We are instrumented. We can learn this. And you can say you were an idiot back then, that you didn't put all this information in. But the sophistication of the pipeline, the labor required, the work involved, it's hard to commit to when I was the only customer service rep and the only marketer. Like
Yeah.
only so many
That
hours
sounds
you
like
get.
it sounds kind of like my role right now.
Gotcha.
Is we're a smaller company, right? I mean, I think we have about 15 people total.
Gotcha.
And we just made a bunch of hires, right? So we're growing rapidly, which is awesome. And it's nice to have the extra hands. Don't get me wrong, but
Yeah.
there's still we need more. So
Mm.
keep your eye on Haiku for job postings if you're
There
looking
you
for a
go.
job,
In
because
this
I'm sure
economy,
we will
they're
be
hiring.
making
You should check them
hires.
out.
We're growing rapidly. So yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. Cool. So yeah, that is like as you get to a more sophisticated business and thus a more sophisticated reporting and a more sophisticated funnel, that is really when you go from things like what's my CTR to what's my ROAS to what's my actual
Hmm.
return from marketing department. And your strategy
Yeah,
changes too, right? In the early days, it's just who's buying from me. And then in your middling
yeah,
days, you're like, I know who's buying from me. I've got this niche. What's my next niche? How do I explore another opportunity or how do I find a new channel? And then finally, at the
yeah,
later stages, I've dominated this sector. What do I do to either take my users and get more value out of them, reduce my churn, whatever I'm doing with my current user base, and then also what's the next big bet? That's
yeah,
the problems you
yeah.
solve change. So
Absolutely. I'm
awesome.
curious. So then, what kind of companies do you generally work with as an agency?
So crowd tamers tend to work with seed and Series A,
Okay.
and I've taken companies up to I think 17 million was the largest I grew one up from like
Wow.
20K to
Wow.
17 million. Um, but when they get big, I get bored. I
Yeah,
don't.
yeah,
The
because
problems
it's
they're
too
solving
structured.
aren't the ones I like. It's too structured. It's too like you've got all these reports, and now there's a board to talk to, and it's, ugh, right. So
Yeah, yeah,
I like to get companies up to a couple million a year, and then say peace. And so what
I
Crowd
like
Gamers
that.
tends to do now is from your first like zero to maybe your first couple thousand, like the beginning stages, up to a few million, and then you'll take it in house, right? You take it in house, we
Yeah,
part ways, we're friends. It's better that way. So uh,
nice.
I appreciate Jake the time this afternoon. Here we're coming in at the end of
Yeah,
the day on a Thursday. What day is it? Wednesday? I'm unstuck from
Wednesday.
time.
I think it's
Wednesday.
Wednesday.
It's Wednesday. I'm unstuck from time. Yeah. So I appreciate the time this afternoon on Hump Day. I like the article a lot. I love the mindset of this intersection between two totally different domains has something interesting to teach. And so I appreciate you posting the article. I appreciate you coming here on the show. As we wrap up here,
Yeah.
any thoughts you want to have people come and talk to you about on your LinkedIn profile and say, hey, this is what I want to talk to Jake about?
Anything. Come talk to me about anything. I'm a friendly guy.
Excellent.
I enjoy people. I enjoy talking. So message me on
Awesome.
LinkedIn. We'll have fun.
Cool.
Thanks.
Thanks so
This has been
much.
awesome. This
I'll
has been
be
awesome.
on, I have a show I'm doing Friday as well. I'll be doing some ChatGPT prompting and telling people how to use ChatGPT in spreadsheets to clean up dirty data
Oh,
and to normalize inputs and also analyze qualitative data into quantitative data. I'll be showing that on Friday. Thanks everybody for attending, and I'll see you guys later. See you, Jake.
see you guys.
Bye.